Now, I'd like to preface this episode by saying that I care about manga about as much as I care about any other kind of books. Sure, I'll check something out if it looks like it has an interesting premise or I've heard good things about it, but I'm not the kind of person who goes, "What? It's Japanese? I must have this in my life!" Except Ramune. Ramene's awesome. So forgive me if I mispronounce any terms like manga or anime or mix up various publishers or series. I'm a gaming enthusiast, not an otaku. Hoshi no Kaabii, or Kirby of the Star, started publishing in Japan in April 1995, right around the time Kirby's Dream Land 2 came out in the US. It's the longest running Kirby-themed manga, spanning 25 issues and running until about late 2006. There were plans to localize the comic for an American release as late as May of 2011, but they've apparently been cancelled without any explanation or rescheduling. So the best I could find for this comic are scans of the Japanese language version, which doesn't do me much good because I don't read Japanese. I'm slowly learning, demo mada jouzu ja arimasen. Normally, that would have been the death of the episode. What am I supposed to do, comment on the artwork? The cover art's all really colorful. I like how Kirby's always right there, boom, front and center. But geez, could he look any more freakish? It's the eyes, I think. I love how you can actually see them get bigger as the series went on until, damn! I know Kirby's supposed to be cute, but this is ridiculous. Look at him. Look. He's staring into your soul. Thankfully, I managed to find a website with fan translations of a number of issues, and a few dozen translations of some Yonkoma comics, which are basically the newspaper versions, about the equivalent of a comic strip like Dilbert or Foxtrot, which are more focused on jokes than actual storytelling. And after reading the ones I could find, you know what? These actually seem like they're really funny. Now, I say seem because they certainly suffer in the translation, so a lot of the wordplay and timing is thrown off. Reading them in English has rarely managed to get more than a wry smile out of me, but I can see what they were going for. I can appreciate that in the native language, these were probably really clever. For something designed for grade school children, I expected a lot more stupid jokes and puns, but these almost feel like something you'd see out of a webcomic like Brawl in the Family. It's a cartoon that knows it's based off of a really silly premise, and it's not afraid to make light of that and actually make fun of a number of iconic scenes from the games. Have you ever wondered what Meta Knight does to get ready for his fight with Kirby? I will prepare a sword for the duel with Kirby. I like to do things fair and square. Could this sword be too heavy for Kirby? Would this lighter one be better? But this one has weak attack power. What about this legendary sword? It's really strong. Would Kirby agree to the cube design if I provide it? Take whatever you like! It almost seems like a forerunner to modern video game humor that takes ideas established in the game and uses that as the basis for jokes. Meta Knight's sword can do anything. That must be nice. I want to use it too! Let me borrow it! Let me borrow it! Ah! I lost it, sorry. And just look at Meta Knight. You know he's just livid over this. They're not all winners, but I could totally see myself loving this back in the day. The manga itself is a bit more serious, at least more serious than the actual games, which, let's face it, have never really been much for drama. The most harrowing decision you have to face in the games is which door to take. But it's still nothing I'd call groundbreaking. It's as easy to read as the games are to play. They set up the premise in the first few pages, and the rest of the comic is just jokes and a bit of action until the final resolution. It's nothing spectacular, but you have to remember who the target audience is. I do really like the artwork. It's simple, but then so are the character designs. Although King Dedede tends to be drawn as sort of a bumbling cretin, or sometimes even an inhuman monster. I know he's not human, he's a penguin, but still, he was always one of my favorite characters, and I think he's actually a lot more dignified and interesting in the games. Most of the translations I have for this comic come from a website called MetaKnight.com, so naturally they tend to all feature Meta Knight in a prominent role. I particularly like this one where Meta Knight and Kirby compete in the gourmet race together. Thank you, to think you're all fans of my cooking! We're not your fans? Go Meta Knight! What I really like about this one is that you honestly don't know where it's going to end up. The first obstacle the racers have to face isn't hurdles or monsters. No, it's a manners confrontation with French cuisine! Meta Knight is civilized and actually uses a knife and fork, only to discover that Cook Kawasaki's food is horrible. Kirby, on the other hand, gets a penalty for eating the table. Later, King Dedede gets jealous and sends out Bugsies to attack Kirby because he's normally the one who races him. Meta Knight attacks the Bugsy with spaghetti, tying him up, and it just goes on from there. It's all just so wonderfully random. It almost reminds me of the observation I had from Kirby's Dream Land that it never really stays on any one scene long enough for it to get boring. It's fast-paced and easy to read. Now, I wouldn't suggest spending a ridiculous amount of money on eBay for one of these comics, but if you ever come across one for cheap at a swap meet and you can read Japanese, you might get a kick out of it. Or even if you're a fan of Kirby and trying to learn Japanese, that might be a good way to practice your skills. The Kirby manga is just as much for kids and beginners as the games. The artwork is cute and inoffensive, and the stories are often clever and sometimes downright hilarious. It doesn't deal with any serious issues, but then it's not trying to. It's just a simple comic that'll give you a smile as long as you don't go in expecting something like Death Note or Watchmen. Would it have a following in the US? Well, probably not. If all the comics were translated and collected in a trade paperback, I'd definitely pick it up for my collection, but if they were just sold as individual issues, I'd probably let them pass. It's a real shame though that they were never Americanized in any way. The Japanese always get such cool stuff. Much like we'll be taking a look at in the next episode.